Hello friends, this is Rajiv Gupta. I am taking the lecture series on the topic of high performance liquid chromatography HPLC. We have seen its schematic and block diagram of this instrument, and I am discussing all the parts of this instrument. In a previous lecture I discussed the pumps, high pressure pumps which are used in HPLC. In this lecture I am going to discuss about sample injection system. Sample injection system, it is a device where we introduce or inject our sample using a injection or syringe. In this syringe generally we use liquid samples in which our solid or liquid sample will be dissolved in a mobile phase or dissolved in a solvent which has the same composition of mobile phase, and then we inject this into sample injection port. So here the injected amount of sample is also very low. This could be 5 microliter to 500 microliter. The sample injection size or sample injection volume could be 5 microliter to 500 microliter. So actually the here actual sample amount is very low which we inject in our HPLC instrument. So what is seen written here, it is used to introduce sample in liquid state into the HPLC system without depressurizing it, because we know that before injecting our sample we flow our mobile phase through the column and all the other parts of the instrument. So during that process the pressure in the mobile phase or at the column is very high. So during this injection of sample in this instrument should not decrease the pressure inside the column or should not decrease the pressure over mobile phase in this plumbing system. The most widely used method of sample injection is based on a sample loop that can be placed in and out of the mobile phase flow path by merely switching a valve. So using a special type of valve or a special type of assembly we can inject this sample. So here actually a sample loop is used where that sample loop is present outside the main stream of mobile phase. So first we inject our sample in that sample loop, and this sample loop initially contains this sample solution at almost zero pressure, and after switching this valve to the main stream, this sample loop combined with that main stream and feels the high pressure. When the valve is in the load position, the sample loop is filled at atmospheric pressure. When our sample loop in this loading position, when we load or inject our sample, then this is injected into the loop at atmospheric pressure. After that, the sample loop size often range from this to this 500 to 500 microliter. So in this lower amount to have a higher amount we can introduce our sample. So it depends actually on the loop size. We can choose a smaller loop or a larger loop or longer loop depending on our sample sizes. These devices are often an integral part of liquid chromatography equipment and have interchangeable loops providing. So these are the some accessories part of this instrument where we can interchange these loops according to our sample size and sample nature. So these loop could be small or larger depending on the sample size. loops providing a choice of sample size from this to this range or more depending on our sample size. Sampling loops of this type permit the introduction of samples at pressures up to 700 psi with relative standard deviations of a few tenths of a percent. A very low relative standard deviation should present, which could be few tenths of a percent. When we switch this valve and sample loop combines with the main stream of high pressure mobile phase, then immediately it gets this much high pressure. This loop feels this much high pressure, but only few standard deviation should present in this high pressure, which is somewhat different with compared to mobile phase mainstream pressure. So that difference or that deviation should be very low. An excess of sample 2 to 5 times the injection volume. Generally 2 to 5 times sample is injected, will be injected in this loop, and the extra sample solution will be flushed out from the loop or flushed through the loop to ensure that no trace of the previous sample remains. So for this purity purpose we use somewhat higher amount of our sample solution. So the remaining amount or extra amount will be thrown out or flushed out from the loop, and only that volume will remain in the loop, that is equal to loop volume, that volume which is present in this loop. By turning the valve or switching the valve from the load to the inject piston, means when we turn our valve from loading to injection position, the sample loop is connected to the high pressure mobile phase stream. Okay, now this loop will disconnect from our injecting position and that flushing out position. Then from this position it switches or turns to the high pressure mobile phase stream, means it will directly attached to the main plumbing system of the HPLC instrument. The sample is then carried to the column. Okay, now it is involved in the main stream, and at high pressure it will be carried to the guard column and further analytical column and detectors. A schematic diagram of a typical valve in both load and inject positions is shown below. So it is the block diagram of an injection system or sample introduction system. So first diagram is shown for load position where we inject our sample, and the second block diagram is for the injection position. Injection position means where the sample loops combined with the main mobile phase stream. So we can observe all the 6 points in this block diagram, where first of all in load position we put our valve like this, that these 5 and 6 number are separated from these 1, 2, 3, 4 points. These 5 and 6 points are different or not associated with these. Now this 1, 2, 3 and 4 position are related to sample loop where we introduce our sample. So here we can observe that at point number 3 we inject our sample. We inject our sample in the loop, okay, not in the main stream of mobile phase. just in the loop which is already blank, which is not filled by any solvent or any liquid. So we inject our high amount sample in this, and when it fills this complete loop, then remaining extra solvent solution, extra sample solution will be went out or waste. So during this process the loop will also be cleaned if any impurity of other substance is already present in the loop. But of course generally before applying the loop, generally we clean this loop firstly, but obviously we put some higher amount of sample liquid inside this loop, so there should be no possibility of any air bubble or any impurity that could be present in our loop. So this extra amount will be wasted or vented from this point number 2. So this is, we can say that 3, 4 and this position 1, 2, this is a complete loop. It is a complete loop, and with these arrow directions we can observe the movement of flow of our liquid or sample liquid during this loop filling. Okay, so this is the loading of our sample inside this loop in this sample injection port. Now we can observe these 6 and 5 points. From point 6, the mobile phase stream is coming from the pumps with a high pressure, and this is flowing to the column, okay, and flowing to the detectors. So after that, when our loop is filled completely and it is ready for further process, now we switch our valve or rotate our valve. Then what happens, that 1 and 6 number points combined, 5 and 4 combined, and 3 and 2 combined, and the connection between 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 6 and 5 is lost. So this is the injection position, actual injection, where we switch our valve or rotate our valve. Then this loop which is already filled with our sample liquid is combined with the main stream of our mobile phase, which is present at high pressure. So here we can see that from pump the mobile phase is coming at high pressure at point number 6. Now it is merged with number 1. Now it is combined with this loop, and 4th and 5 points are merged, and the whole sample solution is moving to the column at high pressure. Okay, so in this specific arrangement of this sample injection valve, a sample injection port, the main stream flow rate, the main stream mobile phase pressure does not affect. Now we can observe this 3D diagram of this sample injection system, in which we can see that the valve handle on the right hand side, the valve handle at right hand side, the loop is filled from the syringe. When our handle is present at the right hand side in this first diagram, this is the switching valve, which is controlled by a manually controlled by a handle, or it could be a instrument controlled. So here this handle direction is right hand side, means the sample loop is not connected with the main stream of the mobile phase. But when we move this handle to the left hand side, then all the points move accordingly, and the mobile phase combined with the sample loop. So what we are seeing here, see, in these 2 points the solution is coming from the pump, the mobile phase is coming from the pump and going to the column. So this main stream is not connected to the remaining portion of the loop. This is the loop. Okay. After filling this loop with the sample or loading with the sample, we move this handle from this right hand side to left hand side, and what we see that this main high pressure mobile phase stream is combined with our loop, which is already containing now the sample. Now this sample liquid comes at high pressure and flows with the mobile phase stream to the column. So what I explained here, it is written here. When the valve is placed in the position on the left, the loop is inserted between the pump and the column so that the mobile phase sweeps the sample into the column. Now this diagram we can also show for loading and injecting of the sample. So what is shown here, loading means where we inject our sample from a syringe, a micro syringe or other type of syringe into the sample loop, that is called loading. And when we rotate our valve or switch our valve, when this sample loop comes into contact or with the main stream of the mobile phase, that is called actual injection. That is called actual injection of our sample inside the column, inside the instrument. So this is the two diagrams we have to draw that are for sample injection system. So in next lecture I will discuss about the columns in HPLC. So first of all, I just columns in high performance liquid chromatography. In HPLC columns, the columns which are used should be very robust, should be very strong, because these columns have to feel very high pressure during experiment. So HPLC columns are made from heavy walled glass tubing and polymer tubing. So it could be formed by polymers or could be glass, but these glass and polymers are very heavy walled, which can control very high pressure during experiment, such as polyether ether ketone PEEK. So these type of polymer tubings or polymer coatings could be present inside the column. So this is the PEEK, PEEK, that is polyether ether ketone. In addition, stainless steel columns lined with glass or PEEK could also be used. So these columns could be made up of stainless steel, where the inner lining, or we can say the inner lumen or inner wall of the column, could be coated with a glass or could be PEEK. So this glass or PEEK material provide a inert surface to these columns, because this stainless steel could not be that type of inert. It could react with time with solvents. Stationary phase is held in the column between two pores, two porous discs situated at each of the extremities. So here the stationary phase, which is generally used silica gel, will be filled in this column in between two porous discs. So these two porous discs held these stationary phase inside the column very tightly. There are two types of columns are used in HPLC. First one is analytical column and second one is pre-column or guard column. Here the guard column will always situated just before the analytical column in this HPLC instrument. Now first we see the about analytical column. The inside diameter of analytical column is often 3 to 5 mm. Okay, it is the internal diameter of analytical column 3 to 5 mm. It is very low, means these columns have very small lumens. In these 3 to 5 mm lumen we fill our stationary phase. The most common particle size of packing is 3 or 5 micron. As we discussed earlier that the particle size of stationary phase material, silica gel material, is very small in HPLC, so it is 3 to 5 micron. The most common columns are 10 or 15 centimeter long. So this is the length of our used columns in or analytical column in HPLC, 4.6 mm in inside diameter. So this is the range of inside diameter. This could be 3 to 5 mm to 4.6 mm depending on our experiment, depending on our column type, stationary phase material type, or our HPLC instrument type, or what type of samples we are analyzing. These all factors classify that which type of column, which quality of column we have to apply. In this column, mobile phase flow rate will be 0.5 ml to 2 ml per minute. So this is a range of flow rates. So in this small particle size and packed column, we observe mobile phase flow rate in the range of 0.5 to 2 ml per minute. Means in this range our mobile phase flow from the column. This is the particle size. Now columns of this type generate 40,000 to 70,000 plates per meter. So these are the theoretical plates in column chromatography. These are the theoretical plates which are actually directly depends on the particle size of stationary phase material. If particle size is very small, then we get high number of theoretical plates inside the column or in the stationary phase. These are the theoretical plates. When the theoretical plates increases for a column, then we can say that its resolving power or its efficiency also increases. So this is the number of plates per meter. So typically for per column the plate numbers will be 10,000 because the column length actually depends actually present in the range of 10 to 15 centimeters. So for a column this average theoretical plates number is 10,000. These columns which are packed with 3 or 5 micron particles have the advantage of speed and minimum solvent consumption. So due to this small particle size, the solvent flow or mobile phase flow or speed is very low inside the column, comparatively is low. So the sample components interact more efficiently with the stationary phase. So we get very good resolution in a small sized or small length column. Also here the solvent consumption is very low. Okay, here solvent consumption is very low because what we are seeing here that the maximum flow rate is 2 ml per minute, means per minute only 2 ml solvent is coming out from the column or is consumed. So suppose if our experiment is run for 5 minutes, suppose 5 minutes, so only 10 ml solvent is consumed for one sample. So it is very low amount of solvent which is consumed or which is used for the analysis of our sample in HPLC. This latter property is of considerable importance because the high purity solvents required for HPLC, and these are expensive to purchase and to dispose of after use. Because in HPLC instrument we use very high quality, very high purity solvents, and these solvents, preparation of these solvents are very expensive, so their consumption should be very low in our instrument, in our column. So this is a very good benefit of this HPLC instrument, where the consumption of solvent are very low. A wide choice of column now exists with names such as narrow bore column. So these are the various types of analytical column depending on the bore size. Bore size means diameter, inner diameter of the column. If inner diameter ID, here ID means inner diameter, if inner diameter is present in the range of 2 to 4 mm, then we call it a narrow bore column. If it is present in between 1 to 2 mm, then it is a micro bore column. And if it has inner diameter lesser than 1 mm, then we call it a packed capillary column. Okay, then it is called packed capillary column. So these are the different types of columns depending on the bore size, for which the flow rates descends to a few microliter per minute. So here the flow rates decreases as the bore size decreases, and therefore requires special pumps and detectors. So depending on our analytical column bore size, we have to choose our specific pumps, high pressure pumps, or specific detectors. These narrow columns not only substantially reduce the amount of mobile phase, just a few drops being sufficient to elute all of the compounds. So as the bore size decreases or inner diameter of the column, analytical column, decreases, so the consumption of our mobile phase also decreases. So just few drops of mobile phase are sufficient to elute all the sample components, or separate all the sample components, but also improve resolution by diminishing the diffusion inside the column. So these are the two advantages of this narrow bore column, where the requirement or consumption of mobile phase is very low, very low, and also this narrow bore column increases the resolution power of the column because of the decreased diffusion inside the column, or diminishing diffusion inside the column. So these are the two advantages of this narrow bore column, and generally narrow bore column are highly used in HPLC instrument, and these all columns work at very high pressure, means very high pressure pumps are required to pump or flow these mobile phase from these narrow bore columns. So this is the description about analytical column. In next lecture I will discuss about guard column and thermostating of column and other parts, stationary phase types, how we fill or pack stationary phase inside the column. So thank you for listening the lecture.